I'm Kamali, taking you through the stories people are talking about and sharing around the world on Newsfeed today. Saudi women driving for themselves. It's coming soon, and some Saudi men don't seem happy. There's been some tweeting back and forth. We'll show you some of it. Are we prepared for the rise of the machines, and what kind of future will artificial intelligence bring us? The UN's looking at how to control AI's growth, and we'll speak with an expert. And Thursday's Animals Doing Stuff is great and stars a baby sloth. What's not to love? At the top of our newsfeed is Saudi women getting salty on social media over their right to drive. It began, as all of these things do, with a trending hashtag, #YouWon'tDrive. It was being used by Saudi men as a threat. Well, Saudi women will finally be able to drive in late June. Now, it was tweets like this that started it. That one says, "Oh Allah, save our souls from the creatures. They're going to drive soon." But some women flip-moded the whole thing by posting stuff like this, saying, "You'll watch me drive." And this one is just a shot of a driving manual for a license in Saudi. Now, it was all summed up by a tweet like this, saying the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia are using this disgusting hashtag to threaten women who might even think of driving when the ban on female drivers is lifted. What good is granting women rights if they can't exercise them in safety? Now, all of this is part of the country's modernization goals. They want to modernize by 2030. Women have been given way more freedoms, but still, it's a bit odd that they're not able to drive in 2018. Now, President Trump has given a Ramadan message, and it's being wondered whether he's being sincere in what he said. Have a look at this.
Trump's real Ramadan message? To celebrate, we helped incite a slaughter of Palestinians, blessed by an evangelist who thinks you're going to hell. Don't come to the U.S., either as students or refugees. Take solace in the tender mercies of the despots we've armed to the teeth.
To the Embassy of the United States here in Jerusalem, the capital of Israel.
Trump tears up Iran deal, then opens embassy in Jerusalem day before Ramadan. Tweets, "Big day for Israel, congratulations." Ivanka and Jared drink champagne while Palestinians are murdered. Never seen such blatant provocation or disrespect. Have we lost our minds or just our soul?
They're not sending you. They're not sending you.
I think Islam hates us.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
Let us know in the comments. Now, if you've been a regular watcher of Newsfeed, you'll know that we're a bit obsessed with artificial intelligence and its uses. We've told you about a boycott of a Korean university because they were working with an arms company. We told you about Google Duplex. That's the one that can make appointments for you and think through complex problems. Remember that time that Alexa was creepily laughing randomly? Well, the United Nations have been holding a conference looking at how AI can be used for good and making sure that we avoid that dystopian future, basically what happens in The Terminator. Now, an expert in the field is Professor Toby Walsh, and I spoke to him and asked what worries him about the future of AI.
I'm not particularly worried about superintelligence or about the machines taking over. Machines don't have any consciousness or desires themselves, but I am worried that we're increasingly handing over decisions to machines, and they may contain biases, they may increase the inequality in our society. And we need to make some good choices to make sure that all of us benefit from the benefits that the technology will bring, not just the owners of the robots.
And who should make those choices then?
I think governments need to think about regulating more. We see this month the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, come into force in Europe to give us better rights and privacy over our data. We need more legislation like that. We need companies to behave, I think, a little more responsibly, and we need citizens to take care. I mean, we have to take a bit. We're already discovering, I think, we have to take care a bit more carefully with our data. That there are risks to be had with all the technologies. It can be used for good or for bad, and we are part of the equation for deciding whether it gets used for good or for bad.
Absolutely, that'll be discussed at the UN in the coming days. Now, part of the discussion will be the use of AI for social programs. What uses does it have there, do you think?
Well, there's immense uses. If you go through the 17 Sustainable Development Goals that the United Nations has, there's almost everyone that it can contribute to. It can help us farm better and therefore deal with the problem of hunger that we have already still in our planet. It can help improve our health. I like to point out to people, sadly, hundreds, if not thousands of people die each day for diseases that we know how to fix in the third world. And we could put the very best diagnostic tools on a smartphone and take the very best first world healthcare into the third world and fix those diseases for pennies and save thousands of lives that are unnecessarily dying every year.
I mean, it's a discussion I have all the time, Professor Walsh. Those things can be done. Why aren't they being done? What needs to be, who needs to push these things forward? It feels to me like it's a money issue, and these companies don't want to commit money to these kind of programs.
Yes, I think it is partly a money issue. I think we perhaps have to think about the social contract that these companies have to operate, and whether they seem to be companies that pay less tax than physical companies. On average, some of the big tech companies pay about 1/10 of the tax of comparable businesses in the physical world. And they do have a social license to operate, and we need to think about whether they're keeping their side of the bargain or not.
Absolutely. Okay, Professor Walsh, always good to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I obviously spoke to him yesterday, different shirt. Let's have a look at what else is trending on social media. After 60 Palestinians were killed by the Israeli Defense Forces and thousands were injured on Monday, a number of well-known writers like Noam Chomsky and Alice Walker have joined the #MeTooGaza campaign, adding their voices to the many who expressed their anger at the disproportionate force used by Israeli troops and calling for an end to the blockade. Now, budgets, especially for boring countries like New Zealand, are usually turgid affairs, but thanks to them having a brilliant Prime Minister and the internet, this year's budget has brought us some lols, apparently a tradition for a pre-budget snack. And many were asking Jacinda Ardern, that's New Zealand's Prime Minister. So she posted a video on Facebook introducing the Finance Minister and her snack of choice, a cheese roll, which are a thing down there apparently. Have a look at this.
Bill English used to eat a pie, and I think we concluded that I eat too many pies already, so we had to come up with a different snack. And with a nod to my southern roots, cheese rolls.
Cheese rolls.
Excellent cheese
These
rolls.
are, in fact, excellent cheese rolls.
Now, there is a growing movement in Pakistan to try and fight the Taliban, and it's being led by people who've been greatly affected by the group. The Taliban control large parts of the border region that Pakistan shares with Afghanistan, the region that's home to the Pashtun.
Those people which are innocents, which are not enrolled in Taliban, free them. Those who are Taliban, please give them to the court, and they should hang them. This is our demand.
Scenes like this are becoming common across Pakistan, and this man is openly challenging the country's military. In the latest act of defiance, thousands marched on the streets of Karachi, alleging human rights violations against the ethnic Pashtun population. Many were holding aloft the pictures of their family members, whose whereabouts remain unknown. In the federally administered tribal areas region, Pakistani security forces have cracked down on Taliban insurgents with an iron fist. But the military also faces countless allegations of extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances. Thousands have been displaced internally, and many in the region claim they've become scapegoats in its war on terror. The PTM is demanding equal rights and fair treatment for its people. The movement gained momentum earlier this year when Naqibullah Masood, a 27-year-old aspiring model from Waziristan, was killed. Investigations revealed Masood had no links to terrorists and was killed in a staged shootout. His death sparked demonstrations across Pakistan, known as the Pashtun Long March. Authorities have used gag orders and booked many of its leaders under charges related to terror and sedition. The military says the protests are engineered and accuses the protesters of collusion with Pakistan's enemies. But many say the movement could be a turning point in Pakistan's history, with particular focus on Pashtun rights.
let's take you around the world for some other stories you need to know this Thursday.
Clients at your staff is speaking Spanish to customers when they should be speaking.
Very violent. I mean, sometimes they do.
Every person I listen to, he's spoken, she's speaking it. It's America.
This guy is Aaron Schlossberg, and he's a lawyer in Manhattan. We know that because once this video of him not being happy that people were speaking Spanish in a takeaway place went viral, the internet kicked in, and now we know his name and where he works. Apparently, his firm offers Spanish too, so thank you. The Argentine Football Association has had to apologise and remove some nonsense it put in a pamphlet for the country's footy journalists going to the World Cup. It had a chapter called How to Stand a Chance with a Russian Girl. Yes. Apparently, the trick is to look clean and smell nice and to dress well. Well, after the chapter was shared on social media and the Football Association were embarrassed by their stupidity, they said sorry and said the page had been printed by mistake. And the Pope has had a word with nuns about their social media use. The pontiff clarified rules that were set out in 2016 about how sisters use Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Some nuns posted support for a woman who was raped in Spain last month. And whose beds are cleaner, chimps or humans? Humans, right? Wrong. It turns out the hairy ape's beds have way fewer body bacteria than an average human bed, so say scientists in Tanzania. The findings were published in a journal, the Royal Society Open Science. Now, one of the reasons is chimps make a new bed every single night, but nah, it's just too much work. Now, water pistols are being given to people at this restaurant in the Australian city of Perth so they can deal with the pesky seagulls that have been harassing them. Apparently it works, but I'm going to give it about a week until the birds realise the water won't hurt them and go back to being a nuisance. Now, Swedish people are known for a bunch of things like IKEA, being chill, and apparently for being happy to have microchips inserted beneath their skin. Have a look at this.
Det är en identifierare som är unik och som du alltid har med dig. Det är ingen risk att du förlorar. Det är
So you can keep an eye on me?
Yes. Nu är jag inte rädd, för det känns som att vi inte där än kanske med tekniken att chip hackas på det sättet. Och...
Now, what we are about to play you may give you night fevers, Saturday night fevers. This is the Scientologist, pilot and actor John Travolta dancing with 50 Cent in a tux, terribly, at a Cannes Film Festival after party, and we love it. And so did Fiddy as he tweeted this video with the words, "Me and John Travolta partying, I swear I only came here because of him." And yes, the track that you did heard was Just a Little Bit. It's a banger. And this Animals Doing Stuff is one of the best yet. Check this video and it moves a little slowly. Now, what you're watching is a baby sloth being reunited with its mother. The baby was separated from mum and they couldn't reunite the pair. So the researchers played the baby's cries over loudspeakers throughout the jungle and mum came down and then this happened. Well, that's a lot from the Newsfeed team. You'll find us 24/7 on Twitter, YouTube and Facebook. Follow, subscribe and add. See you again tomorrow.